Since the first campfire stories, mankind has weaved tales of what the future might bring, and while mediums have changed, the desire hasn't. If anything, it's only accelerated. From books to TV to video games, the media landscape is filled with writers trying to predict where they think mankind may be heading. Some are positive, and others are less optimistic. These stories represent both the hopes and the fears of the creator, an expression about the time they lived in. So that's what this series is going to do. See what these authors got right and what they got wrong. And what better way to kick off this series than with a 52-year-old movie? Soylent Green is a 1973 film set in the far-off year of 2022, where overpopulation, pollution, and climate change have caused ecological devastation and near societal collapse. New York City, which has a population of over 40 million, is a decrepit, polluted, and overcrowded place with rampant crime and poverty. The rich manage to live outside this disorder, having access to fresh food, water, and other essentials. So basically, present day New York City.
New York City, in the year 2022. Nothing runs anymore. Nothing works.
With the collapse of the global food chain, the masses have to rely on processed food made by the Soylent Corporation. Their mainstay products are the red and yellow variety, and they've recently released a new product made from plankton called Soylent Green. Soylent Green is so popular that there are even specified days to get it, with supplies often running out before the starving masses can get it.
Remember, Tuesday is Soylent Green Day.
The movie Soylent Green is based off the 1966 book Make Room by Harry Harrison. Great name, by the way. The actual movie is quite different from the book and takes many liberties with the plot while still preserving many of the themes present in the original work. The big theme being the fear of overpopulation. So, the idea of overpopulation wasn't a new one. Ever since people realized we rely on a finite number of resources to feed a growing human population, there's always been fears of not enough to go around. Thomas Malthus is considered one of the first modern scholars to study this concept, and his works concerning overpopulation influenced generations of policymakers, scientists, and writers. The mid-20th century saw a global baby boom, most notably in the US, where returning soldiers got high-paying jobs, tied the knot, and started families. This baby boom was so massive that it changed American society. In 1960, a third of the US population was under 18. They're not called boomers for nothing. At the same time, industrialization and urbanization increased around the world. Nature was being destroyed for room and resources. More factories meant more toxic chemicals in the water, all while fossil fuels polluted the air. Recycling wasn't in the average person's vocabulary, let alone hole in the ozone layer. Keep in mind that the EPA was only founded in 1970, just 3 years before this movie came out. So naturally, many people began to ring alarm bells over the potential crisis mankind was creating for itself. In 1948, two works kicked off this neo-Malthusian movement, Our Plundered Planet and Road to Survival. This fear gained traction across conservationist, academic, and even political circles. Some nations even took drastic measures, like the one-child policy in China, something the CCP is kicking themselves over every day. But the work that widely popularized this idea, and released just 2 years after Make Room, was The Population Bomb. This book predicted a future of famine and conflict brought on by unchecked population growth. More broadly, this movie is a product of the early 70s. Soylent Green released at the tail end of the counterculture movement, which saw mass social change but also immense tension. Civil rights activists fought segregationists in court, while the hippie youth took to the streets. The morally gray Vietnam War was still raging, only ending in 1973. Oh, and we can't forget the Watergate scandal, one of the worst political scandals in American history.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body.
What really cemented the legacy of this film, however, were the events that happened after its release. Just a few months after Soylent Green hit theaters, America experienced the 1973 recession, the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Sparked in part by the OPEC oil embargo, the nation experienced stagflation, joblessness, and rampant crime. To the average American, things had seemingly inverted from just a decade prior. The nation was less harmonious, less prosperous, and less safe. Keep in mind, while all of this is happening, it was also the Cold War, when mankind was on the verge of nuking itself. And so, on April 19th, 1973, Soylent Green hit theaters. The film's main character is Detective Thorne, played by Charlton Heston. For all you youngins out there, Charlton Heston was one of the biggest movie stars of his time, but you all probably know him solely as the lead in the original Planet of the Apes film.
Damn you! God damn you all!
Also, can't forget about this gem.
From my cold, dead hands.
Anyways, rent's so expensive that Thorne has lived with another unmarried adult man named Saul. Saul is a police researcher that helps Thorne solve his cases. Actually, I take that back. Solving is not the right term that I should use. It's more of meeting a quota so you don't get fired.
What about Zolitnikov?
Well, give me time, will you?
You've been telling me that for the last 3 days.
Well, I can't locate the files. I spent hours on it at the exchange today.
You know, there are 20 million guys out of work in Manhattan alone, just waiting for my job. Yours, too. I want to close that case and sign it out.
The first scene of Soylent Green takes place in Thorne's apartment, and it's a perfect introduction to this universe. It's an old, rundown room that doesn't even have running water or AC. The only source of electricity involves manually generating it, presumably on a jerry-rigged Peloton bike someone threw out. This scene also sets up the dynamic between Saul and Thorne. Their age gap and clashing perspectives play off each other and help flesh out the world. Saul is old enough to remember how the world used to be and how better life was.
Tasteless, odorless crud. You don't know any better. Why, in my day, you could buy meat anywhere. Eggs they had, real butter.
Meanwhile, this polluted city is all Thorne's known, viewing Saul as just another old man complaining about everything.
Fresh lettuce in the stores.
I know, Saul. You told me before.
How can anything survive in a climate like this? A heat wave all year long.
The greenhouse effect. Everything is burning up.
Okay, wise guy.
Thorne's a realist, not really complaining much, just accepting his lot in life. It's a dynamic that helps bridge the gap between the real world and this fictional universe, giving it an air of realism and authenticity.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty sick of you.
Yes, but you love me.
The rest of the building is just as bad as Thorne's apartment, with people spilling out into the stairs and hallways, suffocating the inhabitants with whatever rank these unwashed masses have. Speaking of classism, we smash cut to a luxury apartment and are introduced to the owner, William Simonson, and Cheryl, his live-in concubine, referred to as furniture. The apartment is the exact opposite of Thorne's. It's clean, spacious, and well-maintained. It has basic amenities like running water and electricity. The apartment is fully furnished, stocked with both necessities and luxuries. Simonson sends Cheryl down to get some groceries, and not that ultra-processed crap, but actual vegetables and meat. It's a normal day for her, but unimaginable to people like Thorne. Right outside their door, these streets are dirty and crowded, where people are just trying to survive. There's even a scene where a man and his family have to live in a broken down car. So needless to say that, when a mysterious man pays him to assassinate Simonson, he gladly agrees. Conveniently, the security system was down that night, and the poor bastard just walks in on Simonson. You would think Simonson will put up some sort of fight, but he doesn't. He just sits there and accepts his fate.
They can't risk a catastrophe, they say. This is right?
No, not right. Necessary.
Okay. We're almost there, Freeman. Well, I seem to be seriously wounded.